Alright, I got another full batch here. I also got a couple of, I got one set item, one legendary on this last day's worth of drops. And then also today, Blizzard came out with their first developer blog for 1.04, so I'll talk a little bit about that as it pertains to some of these items as I'm going through. But for now, let's get started. One of the major changes that will affect these IDing sessions and your IDing sessions is the change of level. I think it was level 61 and up. 61 and 62 items will have a chance to max out at the same top weapon DPS numbers as level 63 weapons. So that'll be a big change. So 61, 62, and 63 all have the same ceiling, the same highest item number rolled for weapon DPS. So that a lot of people are going to read that and think, oh my god, great, all weapons are going to be good now. But all it does is give the probability of it happening. So how many level 63 weapons do you have that turn out great? All it's doing is equalizing that chance to your 61s and 62s as well. It's a small, nice little change, but guarantee you everyone's going to not really understand what that means. Okay, bad belt, low two-hander, and low numbers here, but they're middle-of-the-road numbers, and it's got a nice attack speed and some natural crit. So I'll just look it up, not to sell it, I don't think it'll sell, but just to kind of get an update on where the market stands on non-socketed, middle-of-the-road weapon DPS items are at right now. Way too low for a two-hander. Another change that they said is in the works is a whole different set of procs and damage over time abilities for two-hand choices. Try and make those a little bit more appealing to people. So, shitty mighty weapon here. It's got some nice affixes, but this is exactly the type of item that previous fix was meant to address. You've got vitality, life on hit, natural crit damage, but it's completely unusable because of its low roll. Same goes here. Alright, worthless mighty belt. Move on. Move on. Again. Nope. What might have been a bit more effective is for them, instead of increasing the ceiling the weapons can roll, is maybe put a floor that they can't go below. That might have had a little better results in terms of just player reaction, maintaining a player base. This isn't too bad of a quiver. It's almost perfect magic find and middle of the road attack speed. It caps at 18, and then but it's a worthless intellect and gold roll. But yeah, they put a floor on the weapon so that maybe level 61 weapons cannot go below 500, level 62 weapons cannot go below 600, and level 63 items cannot go below 700. I think that would have been much more interesting, because then all of those little meager items with some positive looking affixes would entice people. That also would increase the pool of available items that are like that, so they really wouldn't sell anyway. It would flood the market with 700 and 800 weapon DPS items with good affixes, so it wouldn't really affect the economy too much. Nobody is going to want those beginner weapons for long, especially if they're readily available. But it would give, like I mentioned before, it's really important, the illusion of choice, the illusion of control to the player base. And that's all you need to maintain your subscription rate for an MMO, or for, you know, people to continue putting real money down in the auction house for a hack and slash like Diablo. We've already put our $60 up front. how do you continue to get money to support the server costs and the continued development team involvement in the game, and it's the illusion of choice. Okay. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. The wording there seems, you know, insulting, but illusion isn't always a bad thing. You're playing a game to escape reality in some sense. So, okay, bad again. Whole lot of affixes and not much going on. It's max arcane power instead of arcane power on crit. It's the wrong primary affix for being a wizard specific helm, and all the numbers are incredibly low. This might sell as a gold find helm. It's got a decent gold roll, 19 out of 25 plus the socket, and a little bit of vitality and armor, so this will probably sell. Not for much, but if you get up into 23 and above plus a socket, then it'll find a nice home. While these, just talk about these for a second, while these do have a primary stat in vitality and some sort of defensive stat like resist all or armor, there's no movement speed, and both of the primary stat and the vitality are in the double digits. So if you're only going to have essentially 3 affixes, a primary, vitality, and some sort of defensive stat, if you're only going to have 3 affixes on boots, they damn well better be incredible. Otherwise you're wanting at least 5 affixes of a primary, vitality, a minimum of 1 defensive stat, and movement speed. Generally it's going to be 2 defensive stats, a good single resist and resist all, or resist all and armor. So this one's incredibly lacking. The longer people play, the higher the acceptable item quality is going to be. Those items that aren't even worth listing in the auction house, the quality of those items is only going to rise, thus reducing the gap between the best items and the cheapest items worthy of someone's auction house slot. It's never going to go back down again unless you lose a huge component of the player base, and the ones that are left are just continually rolling new alts. Nice crit roll, a high dex roll, good fire resist, but there's no life component here, and you've wasted the triple competing primary stats here. So this really could have been something. I'm going to look it up just for the 3 affixes of a good fire or physical resist, plus dex and crit. But as I said before, because gloves are so popular to craft, you really have to expect a lot out of gloves. But I'm curious to see what sort of beginner market there is for gloves like that. Vitality's too low here, and it's a worthless resist, so you've essentially just got intellect pants, and that's it. Same here. The life's way too low, and it doesn't have anything else of value, so it's just strength boots. Now that we do have a specific release date, well, I say specific, but they say the last week of August, so my assumption is I believe it's the 28th, which is the last Tuesday, for would be a scheduled downtime for the patch. Since we do have a date for the patch, I'm definitely not buying any new gear. I'm just going to try and unload as much as I can. I'm I'm going to be keeping a few types of pieces that I'll be speculating on them increasing in value. Maybe I'll do a video on that later. And just hoarding my money until then. There's no reason for me to, since they're changing Magic Find, they're changing some of the other systems. They still have a couple more blocks to go to announce some of the changes. There's really no reason for me to spend money unless it's to buy more of the gear that I'm speculating that will improve. So I believe that's perfect gold for an offhand. So I might look that up. So we've got no life component, which is the only thing, because it's got the triple competing primary stats. It really sucked all the life out of this belt. If one of those was vitality, you've got a whole bunch of nice little bonus stats here that really would help bring it out of the gutter. Okay, strength amulet with resist all and crit chance. So we'll look this up. We'll look up strength, resist all, and crit, and then we'll look for a little bit of a weapon DPS modifier. The lightning resistance is very trivial, and the dex is only of value to people that really understand it as a non-dex class. So you can't ascribe too much value to that. So you've got a 17 to 22 damage range, you've got dexterity and crit damage. So in terms of auction house search filters, this is really just a 2 affix ring, but we can search for a minimum damage number and then only pay attention while scrolling to the ones that have a range, not just a minimum or a maximum by itself. So we'll take a look at this one as well, just because there's so much dexterity on it. It's a low crit damage number though. Generally want things like 30% and above. This one on the other hand is pretty decent. You've got 10 weapon DPS, nice fire resist, and then double crits. And both of which are at very acceptable numbers for a ring, over 30% and 4%. So that's very, very decent. That ring maybe is close to 1 million, but I mean it's not amazing. It's certainly nowhere near 8 digits, but I'd say maybe creeping up on 7 digits. Jewelry seems to be escalating very quickly in price. Monk helm with some decent stuff, but it's all too low. So here we got some slightly more respectable numbers on a two-hander. With the patch, this type of thing will, according to Blizzard, have some more interesting procs available that might make you willing to overlook the 988 number. Your choice of decks are int plus a handful of vitality and magic find, and no sockets for customization, and everything's in the double digits. So respectable chance to block. Unfortunately, you've got triple competing primaries and basically half of what the crit can roll, up to 10%. So low gold, low life regen, low thorns, not that thorns even matters, third best resist, no life component. Yeah, there's a lot of things wrong with that belt. Okay, so you have a decent dex number and decent resistances. Problem is that they're gloves, and so 2 affixes on generally if you've got 4 good affixes on gloves, you can expect to be approaching 1 million. If they're all really high rolled numbers, you're approaching 10 million. If you've got 5 affixes, I'd say 4 really good rolled affixes is equal to 5 good affixes with not the best numbers. And then if you've got 5 really good rolled affixes is equal to maybe 6 moderately rolled affixes. And with that last pair, you're approaching 50 to 100 million, and then the 6 all perfect affix is what you're looking for. That's going to be closing to 1 billion now. Um, the problem with there being so many